So this week, I think I learned quite a bit about some of the digital tools available for us and for leaving student feedback. And I'm actually quite surprised by how much I'm enjoying using them. I'm using Screencastify, and I'm also using that in conjunction with Kaizena. Um, Kaizena seems to be really great, just in terms of the flexibility that it offers you. When you use the two of these in conjunction with one another, you can really offer students a 360-degree kind of overview of their paper. You can highlight for them as you're giving them the video critique. So I think that there's a lot of really great things here. Before I start my critique, I just want to give you a quick little background on this project. This was a midterm exam. It was timed. This is a typical student from a typical class, just an academic level class. The students learn different modes of writing the beginning of the year. So we had just learned about definition writing, narrative, and descriptive. And so this was asking students to read our model, which was an Annie Dillard essay titled So That Was Adolescence. And students then had to create their own version using their own anecdotal evidence, using what we learned about definition essays and narrative voice, and employ those things together for this final product. So this is my critique. I just wanted to start by saying I really enjoyed this essay. In terms of its definition, you're spot on here. You very clearly define what adolescence is, the ups, the downs, the strange feeling, the frustration that comes along with it, not understanding what you're going through, not understanding why you're happy, sad, frustrated, all in 30 seconds or less. And so I think that you really capitalize on that definition. If somebody did not understand what adolescence was, you certainly give them enough metaphorical evidence to at least make them understand what it is that it means what it means. So I think you did a really nice job there. I want to start off obviously with the opening paragraph. I really like your anecdote there about your friend Amanda, who used to be one of the guys at age 7, and then 10 or 11 things started to change. I think we all have an Amanda in our lives, so I think that there's some universality to that anecdote there, in spite of how personal it is. You have it's a nice way to open the exam. You immediately open the door. I want to get to know what it is you're talking about by the introduction of this character here. I also really love the last line. This line in particular. For me, this was the beginning of adolescence, a time in each person's life when it feels almost as though the curtain's being lifted off the world and they must learn what it's like to be part of reality. One of the nice things about this is that, number one, it tells me what your essay is about. I don't have to guess, so I understand that this is an essay about adolescence, but at the same time, it also shows me your point of view about it. That as a child, you're looking through a window, through a curtain, so you can see what's outside, but it's not totally clear. Once that curtain is lifted, amazingly, everything is in full light, no matter how beautiful or ugly it is. So I think you really bring that to the forefront. I also like how this line ties back to your title and the show begins, because you have that double entente here where you're speaking about this show. Does the show start the moment that veil is lifted, and whose show is it? So I like the ambiguity that is present there. One thing I wish we could kind of take care of a little bit is getting rid of some of the bulky language here. You have this phrase here, towards another human being, and it's not really enhancing anything. It's actually just detracting. The sentence reads much more clearly without it. At the same time, as I began having these unexplainable feelings, the world started to change for me. You don't need to clarify that it was with another human being. We kind of assume that as your reader. So that we can get rid of. I like how you transition now from that opening anecdote to a more generalized one in the body paragraph. One of the most important parts of adolescence is that it brings to each person a full range of emotions that we all have to experience. They all suck. Now, while there are a couple of bulky words in that first sentence that we can eliminate to streamline it a little bit, I like the long sentence followed by that short staccato, they all suck moment. Although it's not a typical phrase that we would use while writing an academic paper, I think that it capitalizes on what it feels like, and I think it's an appropriate term for here. I just warn not to use it too often throughout the essay so that it doesn't lose its power here. I also like your next sentence in that you parallel the 4 cardinal directions with 4 cardinal emotions. I think that in addition to, you give us something tangible to hold on to there. So I think that that's nice. And I also like that how that metaphor kind of continues, how they change through the wind every 30 seconds and so on. So I like that paragraph really uses that metaphor to expand on it. I also like how you transition into the next paragraph, and so we go from the idea of all of those emotions to this concept of maturity. So it's not just this one note piece that you have here, but this uncomfortable nature, not only of the emotions, but the uncomfortable nature of responsibility. And so at this point in the essay, I'm feeling very distraught. Oh my God, it's adolescence. I've gone through it. I have nothing left to look forward to. And then I read the next sentence, the opening sentence of your final paragraph. Adolescence is not a fun time, but it's an important one. Bam, there it is. That's what I have to take away from this. Yes, there are some aspects that are not very pleasant, and yes, it can be a very frustrating and uncomfortable time, but it's one that we have to go through. It's one that we have to understand. It's one that every person goes through. It's a rite of passage. And once it's out of the way, we're better off for it. So overall, minus just some of the clunkiness in the language, this is a really well put together essay. It's structured nicely, it has a good flow, and it's very relatable. So you did your job defining this as well as using those techniques that we've been talking about. Really good work.